Hello everyone. Thanks for joining us in this adventure we call Rainy Day Makers. And today I'm going to show you how to make these lovely little jars with bees on top. Quite a few techniques involved in this, as you can see. We have some gilding on the top of the lid and a little metal bee on top. This one I left with just the butterfly. I thought the butterfly was beautiful enough to stand on its own. So very, very pretty and very easy to open. And as you notice, the lid stays inside. We glued that in, so you'll see that later as well. And this is the third one I made. As you can see, they're pretty consistent across the board. There is some more gilding on some of the lids and less gilding on other lids. So you can see what we've got going on here. Still easy to open, no excess glue on the underside. We can tighten them up, so whatever you want to put in those, feel free. And let's find a spot for this one. There we go. All right. Next, we have just the clear jar. This is what's on the bottom. It is a mason jar. It's just a clear crystal mason jar. These are little lids that come. These are canning jars, so that's why that's separate. And they fit one right inside the other. And this is a little paper disc that I cut out that will go on the top with the washi tape that I just put down. What next? Okay. This is the little bee. They're the cutest things. They come from Retro Art Cafe. It's where I purchased a bag of them. Fun little bees to decorate with. This is my bone folder. Probably won't need it, but you never know. Okay, this is Gilding Flakes. You can see them here. I will list who mine are from underneath the video, but they are in the color Warm Sunrise, and it comes with this little jar of Gilding Flakes along with a little bottle of glue for the Gilding Flakes and a sponge to apply the glue so that the Gilding Flakes can stick to it. I've used mine before. It keeps sticking to my fingers now. And Modge Podge, an old standby. This is what we're going to do to seal it at the very end. Kind of holds everything together and gives it a nice, bright, shiny look with that gloss. This is my round paper cutter. It's a 2-inch cutter. You've probably seen it in some of my other videos if you've watched them. One of my favorite cutters. All right. And then finally some white glue. I put mine in a tiny little jar because it's more convenient for me that way. And then Fabri-Tac, which we will use to glue our bee down on the top of our jar. Okay. So those are all the things you're going to need to do this project. So we're going to get started with the lid. And the lid itself is something we're going to glue in. And I'm using Fabri-Tac. I used this. I tried the white glue. I didn't really like how the white glue worked. It wasn't really thick enough, and I don't know, just didn't care for it. So you just put it around the outside rim or the inside rim, I should say, of the lid, and just little bits. You don't have to go all the way around, just enough that can hold the lid in. We'll just pop that right in and then press it down so it has good contact with the lid itself. And then we're going to have to let that dry. So make sure it's really, really well pressed in there. And find a place to put this. I think I just put it on top of the jar. All right. So while that dries, we'll move on to this next piece. And this is kind of dry, but not all the way, just so you know. And I'm just wrapping the washi tape around. I'm just sizing it to make sure that I have the right length of washi tape to go around my lid. And this is going to be the edge of the jar. So we'll just get that cut off. And when you look at this, I do have some overlap. I like to have a little bit of overlap just in case we get some pulls on this. But you can see how it's just a little bit of overlap right there. So we'll pull that off again because washi tape doesn't really stick to most things permanently. So I'm going to set it aside. Well, I put a little bit of glue all the way around the edge of this lid. And for this one, I'm going to use white glue. It dries a little bit thinner. It still dries clear. It'll stick to the washi tape and the metal. It's that metal to metal that I didn't care for the adhesion with anything but the Fabri-Tac. All right. So we're just going to put this all the way around the lid. And I'm very carefully holding mine because I didn't let my glue dry all the way. But let's see how this works out. We're just going to put it all the way around. And then we're going to kind of smush it into all those crevices with our finger. All right, so let's see. Let's get that in there. Okay, and we're just going to use our finger and really, one of the best tools ever, right? Our hands. And smush it around so that it gets in all the crevices, up to the edge on the top, down to the edge on the bottom. And we've got that all smushed on there. We're going to get our washi tape, and now it's time to start applying it. If your washi tape has a direction, make sure you get that on there. Mine kind of does, so I made sure to make sure it's upright when I look at it from the side of the jar. So as you're looking at it, the washi tape is upside down because my lid is upside down. And I'm just trying to smooth this down and really get it pressed into the glue. And I'm just lining it up against that bottom lip of the jar lid and then smoothing it down, making sure I don't have any bubbles or wrinkles. If you don't get out wrinkles, you could wind up with a too short piece of washi tape if you have a lot of wrinkles. But see, it still slides down pretty well. And I'm just gently holding onto that lid on the inside. You could probably hold on to the outside of the lid, probably work a little bit better. You could even put this lid on top of the jar and do this. And it will give it lots more stability. I didn't glue mine all the way down, and I didn't want any glue that was sticking up on the inside to maybe stick to the jar. So now I'm just using my thumbs, kind of push down on all those edges, because my washi tape is a teeny bit wider than the edge of my jar lid. So this gives it a little more texture. So we're going to push it around and down with the glue. Obviously, a little bit of excess glue is coming out there. That's okay. That will be covered up by the gilding. We'll just keep pressing that down, making sure there's no gaping holes or edges. If there's anything that we need to press on the sides, let's get that pushed in to make sure that there's no wrinkles or bubbles. And you can finesse this for as long or as little as you like, depending on the look that you're going for. I was being a little picky, trying to make sure it's all down on those edges. So I have this little piece of paper I'm going to set this on, and it just keeps my white background a little bit cleaner, at least for now. I'll probably make it messy later. But it's a new piece of background, so I'm going to keep it nice, or try to. Won't last long, I know. All right, so there's my gilding glue, and this is my Gilding Flakes. And you can get this in the big sheets as well. I like the little piece of this one because it's a mix of copper and gold. So you get this kind of random look as you put it onto your lid. So we're just waiting for that glue to dry a little bit to where we put the washi tape down. And while it does that, we will look at some of our other items on here. So give it a little bit to go here. And I'm getting my paintbrush. This is a dry brush, and we're going to need that to apply the Gilding Flakes. So I'm still pressing this down to see how wet it still is. The white glue dries fairly quickly. It was a very thin layer. So, and our glue for our gilding is child-proof capped. So it's a press down and then open thing. So I'm going to put this on my sponge. I put it directly on the sponge. Some people put it directly on the lid. I'm going to go with the sponge itself. And I'm a little heavy-handed to begin with. So it just gets the gilding glue down onto the lid for me. I'm going to be really careful, or try to be really careful, pressing down on this lid. You don't need to press very hard. I'm trying to get it into those edges where the top of the lid dips down. And that's kind of the first place I tried to get it. And then it really just becomes a dabbing with the sponge to try to get it equally applied across the lid. So that's what you see I'm doing here. Wiping it to get it into the crevices, but then pouncing to get some glue just around the edges. And I'm going to put a little bit more glue on there I need a little bit more of this gilding paste glue. Paste and glue, I think those are the same thing. So it just wants to stick to me too. I keep running my hand into it. So let's take a look here. I see some spots where I don't have a lot of glue in the crevice, and I really do want to be able to make sure flakes stick to that crevice. All right, so the other thing I'm going to do is squeeze it. Sometimes you can squeeze some out, but it's not really working today. Probably because I've used the sponge before and glue dried on it. But I think after this event, I will probably rinse out my sponge and get most of that glue out. So you can kind of see the shinies on the top of that lid where the glue has been put down. That glue is it's pretty much ready to go. Once it is no longer white, oh look, and now I stuck my finger in the glue. It's a talent I have. Oh well, I have gluey fingers now. Probably wind up gilding myself. So here we go. We're gonna just add a little bit more, make sure every corner, like on the top edge, has some of the gilding glue. And I'm just randomly putting around the edge. I'm not covering the whole outside edge because I don't want to cover up all my washi tape. I want some of it peeking through to kind of give it that maybe an aged look. Or just a nice gold, coppery, metallic look, really. All right. So we're going to pick up a piece of the gild, and we're just going to stick this onto our lid. The thing is that you can, once you get the first piece on there, try not to get too much glue on your paintbrush, because your paintbrush is going to be something that needs to remain flexible. And once you do that first piece, you might get a teeny bit of glue on the brush, and that'll just help you pick up more of the gilding flakes. And flakes is a loose term. These are like little pieces of the gilding. There are bigger flakes in here. So I'm just smoothing these down, making sure they're stuck into the gilding glue. And there's some big pieces, bigger pieces. You can also buy this in sheets. And I sometimes use a mix of my fingers, as you can see here, of my fingers and the brush itself. The brush really pushes it down into the glue without picking up a whole lot of the flakes onto your brush. So we're just going to keep working at this, working down the sides where the glue is, working not super fast, but somewhat quickly to get it down onto that glue before that glue dries. See, as you can see, there's some big pieces here that I will just pick off with my fingers because my giant fingers can pick those up. And that can work a little faster. Okay, so we'll get that stuck down. Just use my fingers. It is a little tacky to the fingers, so I'm probably going to have gilding stuff stuck to my fingers by the end of this project. And I just gently pick this up, and of course I've got another big piece, right? They must have all been hiding in the middle of that jar. Okay. So keep working at it. Keep applying your gilding flakes. We'll keep working at it. There we go. Another giant piece that we can get stuck on here. And as you can see, as you put these down, they lay pretty flat. Anything that sticks up, you can brush off with your brush as you move along through the process. Okay? And we're going to just speed this up a little bit so you can see the technique itself, but go a little bit faster. And here I'm just trying to clean it up a little bit. I've got most of the gilding on, and I'm just really wiping away with my brush very gently, wiping away all of the excess gilding flakes. And you can see them kind of falling off in tiny little pieces. as I brush them. If you need to take your brush off onto a paper towel, do that. I do have a hard edge on this one that I noticed, so we're going to just put a little bit more of that gilding glue on that edge. See that nice straight line? I don't think that's attractive. If you're okay with it, don't bother doing what I'm doing, but I like to just put a little extra glue on there, spread it out kind of randomly so I get this more tapered edge, and it's not quite so stark. And then I'm just going to put some more gilding flakes on there to try and do something with that edge there. And I did try to go for some gold flakes because that edge was gold to try to make it look purposeful. Okay, get that stuck on there. And then we'll have to let that dry for just a second. As we're finessing it, that glue underneath is drying. And so we'll just keep wiping away to get all the extra flakes that aren't in glue off of the edges. And so we can still see some of that washi tape underneath, which I think is a nice look to be able to see that almost like a wallpaper underneath the paint job, right? Okay, there we go. Let's get any last minute cleanups done here. I could probably go on forever, and you probably may think I already am going on forever with the cleanup here, but you can see there's like just little pieces on the edges that need to be brushed off. And we don't want to get those caught up in our seal when we add the Modge Podge to the seal. We just don't want all those little bumps in there. So we're going to add our insert on the top, and we're going to do that with just regular white glue. It sticks pretty good to the metal since it's paper. If you've ever tried to get paper off any kind of metal lid, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Once you glue paper down to a lid, it seems to stick forever until you soak it off. All right, so we're going to try and center that in there. Do the best we can. And see, I've pushed it out. See, my impatience of not letting the glue dry is coming back to haunt me. So I know you won't let this happen to you. So let's get that centered in there. It's hard to tell that it's centered from this angle, but I'm just holding it from the bottom and pressing lightly. I mean really lightly to get that paper in contact with the lid. Okay. And if it's not perfect, don't worry about it. I mean, this is a handmade item, so perfection is made by machines and not near as much fun. Okay. So I'm just checking this out, making sure it's tapped down pretty good while I hold it. And now we're ready for the next step. We're going to go ahead and seal this with our Modge Podge. And I take it straight from the jar. If you have anything on your brush, like colors, or you might not want to do that. But you can also just pour it in a little dish or in a piece of paper and take it from there. We're just going to apply this pretty heavy-handed to begin with. So we can get it down in all those edges and creases on the top. And then I'll just take the brush and lightly try to get rid of any heavy brush marks. This is a gloss Modge Podge, so reflection will be a fact of life. And if you don't try to remove the brush marks a little bit, you're going to see them forevermore, regardless of how many coats you put on. So this is just me lightly smoothing out those brush marks, and then making more brush marks and then lightly smoothing them out again. So, and then it's just really sealing the edges. I don't find that you see the brush marks so heavily on the gilding, but you do see it, for example, on the paper top or on the washi tape on the sides. So Just make sure you've got a good coat on there, but it's not too heavy. You're not going to have lots of bumps. As you can see on the top edge, we've got some buildup on that corner. We're going to smooth that out, and then we're going to let it dry. So we'll let that dry for a little while till our Mod Podge is clear. Once it's clear, then we can go ahead and apply our bee to this. So here we are ready to go ahead and apply our bee. This is dried pretty well, and you can't really see, and see how nice and shiny that is. So next thing is we're going to use our Fabri-Tac, and this Fabri-Tac is a really good thick glue. So we'll put it right smack dab in the middle. If you're going to put yours off to the side of the top, but still on top, you can put it wherever you want. I put mine in the middle. If you want to apply the bee to the side of the lid, that might be, you'd have to hold your lid up so that it can be a level surface. But I'm just going to place my bee in that little dollop of Fabri-Tac glue, and then press it down to get as much contact between the glue, the bee, and the surface as possible, because we want it to stick really well. And you can kind of see the glue and the shiny right now. Once that dries, I don't know if you can look at the others, you can't really see that glue very much. So I'm just going to put the lid on, and you can see now that we have a matching set of 4 with the same colors on the lid. And I love the clear bottoms on these because I can see what's in them, and I don't have to open them up to see what's in there or put a label on them. So here we go. Now you're done. Just wait for it all to dry, and you have 4 very usable jars to decorate your crafts table or your cupboard or wherever you want to keep them. Thanks for watching, everybody. I really do appreciate you coming by and checking out this video. And I hope you'll give this technique a try and make some jars of your own. Make sure you stop by our page. Find us on Facebook at Rainy Day Makers. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share here on YouTube. We really, really do appreciate your subscription, and we thank you for watching here at Rainy Day Makers. If you go to our Facebook page, you will find us there with giveaways, lots of people that are of like mind that love crafting. So check us out there. Facebook is Rainy Day Makers, so you can go get us there. And once again, have a great day, everybody.